The next time skip for Luffy and the Straw Hats is coming because Oda has just shown us how much stronger the king of the world, Imu-sama, really is. Not only has he packed up the strongest giant Loki, but right after flicked away Gear 5 Luffy, the newest Yonko, like bro was a nothing. In fact, this new chapter, Luffy was basically dead if not for Gaban. However, as strong as Gaban was back in his prime, he cannot hold off Imu for long. And unlike in Luffy's fight against Kaido, Imu's Nihility sword is continually sapping away Luffy's strength, meaning there is no hope for him using the Drums of Liberation to heal back up. That's not all though, as Imu showcases a new ability that confirms not just Luffy taking a massive L, but Zoro and Sanji are about to lose against Saint Jeffrey Summers and killing them, with the only option left for the Straw Hats being a time skip arc where they train to get stronger. Heck, it looks like this time skip arc is all part of Shanks' decades-long plan to defeat the king of the world, Imu. While everyone is taking L's, there is one Straw Hat who gets a W after 443 chapters. I'm talking about Usopp. He finally did something, and this is an insane feat, okay? Like, bro is probably not gonna get another moment for 500 more chapters after this, because God D Usopp is the only one of the Straw Hats who feels Luffy's defeat, all through the power of the strongest observation we have ever seen. You guys see that little sound effect? Yup, that's Usopp's strongest feat so far. Okay, on a serious note, Usopp with his sniper-like vision and observation knows something is wrong. He knows Luffy will be fine due to the trust he has for his captain, but as Jinbei points out, it's normal to be nervous as Imu just defeated the giant Loki. Who has a problem with Jinbei saying that Imu versus Loki has concluded? Bro has not taken the L. He needs to be dead to take that L, but Jinbei and Usopp both can feel Luffy's haki has suddenly just weakened. This is due to the Nihility Sword's effects. Meanwhile, Brook and Frankie have taken Gunko out of Ragnir's melted ice, but it's still gonna be a bit before Gunko or Princess Shuri wakes up from being frozen. However, Ragnir has a problem with the Straw Hats trying to wake up Gunko, as she is still a formidable fighter, and if she doesn't wake up as Princess Shuri, the Straw Hats will have a big problem on their hands. But fear not, because Captain Usopp and Ragnir are ready to throw hands. Then, out of nowhere, Haruden and Gerd fly into the Straw Hats on their boat. Luckily, Chopper is quick to use guard point to cushion their fall. Gerd is also swift to start looking after Loki's giant wounds alongside Chopper. It seems that Loki is hurt more than he has been letting on, as there is blood everywhere. Turns out that Old Man Yarul asked Haruden to go make a stand against Imu, as even if they rescue the children, it will only be temporary, as Imu and the God's Knight's objective is to subjugate Elbaf by force. Finally, Haruden asks his brother the real questions to move the plot forward. Does Loki have any idea who Imu is? Which takes us to another flashback 14 years ago after the battle between Herald and Loki. This honestly proves that Shanks has manipulated the entire pirate era for the realization of the final war against the world government. 14 years ago, Loki was ready to go attack Marie Schwa. Shanks also wants to go beat up Imu since he considered Herald a friend. Still, they can't do that yet. They have to think about this clearly. The government has attempted to take over Elbaf. Loki's priority as the crown prince should be to prepare for war to protect his homeland. However, Loki doesn't care about all that. This is personal for him. He simply wants to go and avenge his father against the world government. In that case, who is Loki's target? The world government means every single nation, near 200 of them all across the globe. Will Loki go and destroy all of them, or perhaps just Marie Schwab? Which wouldn't just be a battle, by the way, it's a full-scale war involving all of the allied nations of the Reverie, while making Elbaf the prime target and giving the Gorosei justification for its erasure. Loki would be falling right into Imu's rage bait willingly. Instead, Shanks gives Loki a target. The one who tried to kill Harold is the king of the world. Remember guys, for a year before Shanks showed up in Elbaf, he was working undercover as a holy knight in Marie Joie alongside his brother Shamrock. He used all the time here, likely researching and finding information on not only Imu and his powers, but also Nika and what the government was most afraid of. I think after Roger's death, Shanks spent time not only in Ohara, but also in Elbaf. He saw the mural, the Harley poem, and using his keen insights through knowledge gained from traveling with Roger pirates and Kozuki Oden, he pieced together the puzzle of the world and the Void Century. But he hadn't figured out the entire picture of just how busted Imu and the government are. It took him going undercover inside their den to think of a plan to defeat the devil. A year later, he had come to Elbaf to inform Harold of his findings and perhaps also recruit the giant into the war for the dawn of the world, which was inevitable. Sadly, Harold took the deep sea mark in place of Shanks and was just killed. So now, Shanks must make sure to have Loki in good health for the coming war. Otherwise, the prophecy of Dawn might have to wait another 800 years. But upon hearing that there is a king of the world government, Loki is stoked, as he will have to just kill one secret king for his revenge, only for Shanks to tell the giant that Imu's power is immeasurable. Loki, even with his newfound strength after eating the Nidhogg fruit, might not even make it to the throne room. Bro is not Rox D. Zebek, and even Zebek had the brains to not tango with Imu 56 years ago. You can't brute force your way against such an ancient immortal being and organization. You need a clear plan and allies to break the world government. Now, Loki did set out to fight Imu, but for the next few years, he was never able to get close. And I think 6 years ago, Loki was the closest to challenging Marie Schwab. But if Loki went in then, he would have surely died or gotten Domi reversed. So Shanks chained him up in the underworld of Elbaf to make certain that Loki is present for the prophecy of Dawn. Because at this point, Luffy had already eaten the Nika fruit. The most unsure piece of this prophecy was now active, as we learn in chapter 1045 how the Nika fruit was running away for centuries. The new wild card, Loki, needed to stay patient, and the only way to make sure a guy like Loki won't make a reckless decision is if he is forced to. Similarly, Shanks and his Yonko crew claiming Elbaf as their territory was likely a plan to delay Imu and the government from trying to take it over again, with Shanks' title not only as a celestial, but also someone who knows about Imu's secret alongside wielding strength only comparable to the strongest in the world. Imu couldn't make a drastic move for years. But it was the same for Shanks too though. Luffy had eaten the Nika fruit, yet he was an 8-year-old kid. It would have to be over a decade before the boy even sails out to sea and has a chance at awakening into Joy Boy. All Shanks could do was give Luffy enough motivation and a dream to one day find the One Piece. That's why even though Shanks has been a Yonko for a long time now, he never went out to seek the One Piece until Nika was awakened. Bro was simply keeping the world at balance until Luffy grew up. This flashback also confirms to me why Shanks and the red-haired pirates were on their way to Wano during Luffy vs Kaido. At the start of Wano, Big Mom and Kaido, two Yonkos, were using an open transponder snail channel to speak of their alliance against Luffy. If the government was able to hear this, Shanks, another competent Yonko, definitely knew about it as well. Luffy versus one Yonko is a fair matchup, but having two world powers creating an alliance would completely destroy the balance of the world that Shanks has been championing for so long. Luckily, instead of Shanks having to save Luffy or the entire battle ending in his defeat, Luffy awakened his fruit, finally finally giving Shanks the green light to start the hunt for the One Piece as well. Which makes me wonder, what if Shanks knew about what was about to happen in Elbaf right now? And him leaving was all part of his plan to give Luffy and the Straw Hats more of a reason to get stronger and participate in the final war. He knew about Shamrock and the God's Knights showing up to Elbaf. Now, of course, I still think that my goat, Monkey Deadbeat Dragon, will show up to save Luffy. But taking my biases aside for a second, Shanks and the red-haired pirates arriving would also make perfect sense. Or maybe both of them will show up. Who knows? Okay, I'm gonna be for real for a second here. No jokes, okay? It's even possible that they are already in Elbaf using their observation hockey canceling powers to simply spectate. And after the Straw Hats get absolutely cooked even more, Shanks will show up to give them some gamer subs, which you guys can also try by using code ABD for 10% off. This is the new Bleach 1000-Year Blood War arc flavor, and honestly, it might be my favorite of all time. It tastes like strawberries, because, you know, Ichigo's name, and I am loving it so far. It does not taste like Bleach, okay? It's the Bleach anime flavor, not Bleach flavor. All the comments are like, yo, bro wants me to eat Bleach. No, you guys should really check it out quick though, because supplies aren't gonna last much longer. Plus, this new Queso Nuke Gamer Aid is low-key fire, okay? Like, I thought it was a gimmick, and I tried it a few days ago, and I was hella locked in while playing League. Even before scripting, I tried it, and I felt way more focused coming up with the dragon agenda for this week. So use code ABD for 10% off. Either way, when we step back to the present, Haruden thinks he can beat up Emu. Who are you? Pack it up. Get out of here. Be so for real, bro. But why are we even talking about this? Yo, let's check it on Ragnar, who's crashing out right now. He's upset at the Straw Hats for trying to unfreeze Gunko. He froze her because she is dangerous. However, Brook interjects, yelling at Ragnar that she was being controlled and Gunko is actually his daughter. Ragnar is so confused as hell here, okay? Because like, Brook is a skeleton. How is his daughter looking like a human? Then, out of nowhere, Robin pops out from the ground using a Hana Hana Nomi clone, asking Chopper to come to the library immediately. Now, this could be because of some ancient information Robin has just figured out regarding Chopper's food, which can reverse Emu's Domi Reversi with a single touch. Maybe Chopper will play a defining role in healing Luffy next. However, he might be too late because Emu is about to end Luffy for good. Bro, Oda is savage here, okay? He added a text line saying, Luffy, after just one hit from Emu? Huh? This dude's a fraud! Still, Emu's pullout game is weak as hell here, because bro doesn't want to take any more chances against Nika, so he pins Luffy against the Atom Tree while the sword is still inside of him. If that wasn't enough, Emu manifests another sword gleefully, roasting our boy who is half dead. You can't move. How many slashes can your ass endure before you die, you damn monkey? Your stupid ass brothers don't even have the same name as you. How do you even call yourself brothers? Especially that ace guy who got turned into a donut after getting rage baited by my navy, and the other is low-key goated because he works for Monkey Deadbeat Dragon. Emu didn't say that about Sabo, but like, that's what he meant, okay? It was a dragon upscale. Emu is ruthless here. He says all this as he skewers another sword through Luffy's chest. However, Emu is still not done. Bro summons another weapon, this time not a sword but an axe called Jingtian. He says that this might be the final weapon Luffy will taste before he is dead, suggesting that Jingtian is one of the strongest in Emu's arsenal. These weapons of Emu all belong to the 19 allied kings of the world 800 years ago, the same swords that are supposed to be struck down around the world's throne to symbolize that there is no king of the world. However, Emu has taken them as his own. With how each of them seem to have different abilities, I think the weapons hold the soul or essence of the former kings, similar to Big Mom's homies or Moria's shadow. As Emu's main power seems to be about manipulating souls and breath of organic things around him, that's how the Maki balls have personality. This also explains why Rocksteady Zebek called Emu the Rat King, which is a reference to the collection of rats whose tails have become intertwined. This usually happens when a large number of rats live in very tight, cramped quarters, like a small nest. Materials like sap, dirt, ice, feces, or blood can stick to their tails. As the rats move around, their tails become knotted together. If the knot pulls tight, the rats are permanently stuck to one another, facing outward in a circle. In German folklore, it was believed that the rats formed this structure intentionally to act as a single giant king of the rats, with the older, wiser rats sitting atop the tails while the younger ones did the moving and gathering. Imu and the Gorosei are the kings here of the rat's nest that is Marijois, as he wields the power of all the 19 allied kings. Bro is low-key like a parasite because the war against the ancient kingdom doesn't seem like an alliance, but rather a trick played by the devil against Joy Boy. This is becoming more clearer as we learn more about Imu and his powers. The sword names also hold a big significance, as they are named after famous gods or entities from our world. Jingtian was a headless, axe-wielding Chinese god who kept on fighting even after his decapitation. The kanji used by Oda is a divine executioner's axe, which could mean that any person it manages to pierce, their death is assured. Or maybe if Imu throws this axe, similar to Vanderdecken's fruit, it will always find its target. It's too persistent and stubborn. Fargarok is the second sword Imu stabbed Luffy with and has the kanji which says Sea God's sword, but the name itself is of a sword from Irish mythology, meaning the answerer, which was wielded by the sea god Manannan. Bro, I don't know how to say that. Before it was passed down to his foster son, the hero and warrior god Liu. The first sword Imu stabbed Luffy with was Tohu Wabohu, which is the void sword I spoke of last video, which saps your life energy. We have also already seen Nemesis, the sword of holy punishment, Stigma, the sword of hatred, then Big Mouth Saint Jeff cannot keep his emails under check, as he reveals that Imu also has the sword called Muramasa, which is named after the legendary Japanese blacksmith. Plus, when Imu revived Saint Q and Saint Jeffrey Summers, he gave them two swords of their ancestors, and these weapons are broken. Summers, with his family's sword named Graham, is able to deflect Zoro's Dragon Damnation, which defeated King in Wano. Zoro is seen huffing and breathing heavy while this fraud Summers is laughing at our boy. Similarly, Saint Q is now wielding the spear known as Longinus, which is said to be the spear that impaled Jesus during the crucifixion. These 19 world swords are on a different caliber, and Imu swings his Jingtian straight at Luffy, only for my goat Monkey Deadbeat Dragon to show up and save him. Oh my god, it finally happened, guys. I've been saying it for years. It happened.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Look, that's Dragon, right?
Stop it. Get some help.
Okay, it wasn't Dragon, it was Gaban. Okay, yay. W Gaban, W Bon. Let's clap for Gaban, everyone. Good job, you saved Luffy. But your days are numbered, left wing of the Pirate King, because let's be real here, okay? Gaban is pushing 80. He has been busy exploring Ripley's caverns. He isn't gonna be able to last too long against Imu. Even Loki got packed up quick. Plus, Gaban is still recovering from his injuries from Gunko. This is simply a stalling tactic by Oda. However, Gaban's involvement might give us enough time for Princess Shuri to wake up and stall Imu even more until his time runs out. Or perhaps the Shanks theory I spoke of earlier in the video will come true and the red-haired pirates will save Luffy. Still, however, the Straw Hats end up surviving here in Elbaf, and one thing is for sure, we are gonna enter a training arc. Just look at Zoro and Sanji, they're about to get packed up too through Imu's Maki power-ups and his goons. Now, you guys know my theory. Dragon will show up, scare Imu off, which will make the Straw Hats venture to the moon for a training arc and a time skip. Everyone knows this. But there is also the time skip we might get after just leaving Elbaf due to the Louis Arnault quote, which started this entire arc, which said to not linger too long in Elbaf. We might just leave the island to find out that weeks have passed on the outside. It would be even crazier if if the Straw Hats train with Gaban in Elbaf for weeks, only for months to have passed by the time we leave. If you guys want to learn more about the training arc I think that will happen in the moon, go watch my moon theory video right now. Anyway, there's no chapter next week. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bro, I recorded the entire video on Facecam, right? And my dumbass forgot to wipe the SD card before recording, and the entire file got corrupted. I'll see you guys next week.